take another terrifying journey into the world of mystery, suspense, and terror. Let's turn off all the lights, lock the doors and windows, sit back and enjoy this evening's chilling tale. Good evening. We're all invited to take another terrifying journey into the world of mystery, suspense, and terror. Let's turn off all the lights, lock the doors and windows, sit back and enjoy this evening's chilling tale.
All right, hello, and thank you for tuning that dial to the Eek channel. My name is James, and today I am joined by my co-host,
Cody.
You're gonna get your time on the camera.
I know.
You don't gotta jump into my frame.
I'm sorry,
I'm gonna give it to you.
but I
It's
like
coming.
it. But I like it. I like people to know I'm here. That's all.
This is the Eek Show, your online horror house party where we just want to talk to people about scary movies and the ones they liked, maybe the ones they don't like.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the ones that we don't like. I don't know.
All of the above?
Anything about scary movies.
Yeah, maybe ones that are scary, and ones that aren't so scary.
Yeah. So today we're gonna give our friend Peyton a call. I have him on the ringer dinger here. You got anything you wanna? It's spooky season.
Spooky season.
So is there anything you've been watching
Yes.
or anything specific that you wanted to kind of just talk about for a second?
I would love to.
Go for it.
So I will say, I warn everybody, I'm not super far in, so that I don't like giving my own seal of approval. I don't have a seal of approval. If anybody's listened to this show, don't trust anything that I say. But I hate to put my full emphasis on something before I get to see all of it. We
Sure.
kind of, if anybody's tuned into other shows, we kind of did that with Twilight Zone. Like, hey, we're hesitant to give you our full season approval before we see the full season.
Right.
But Castle Rock season 2 is really good.
I'm enjoying it so far.
It's really good. Lizzie Kaplan plays Annie Wilkes, and she is good.
She's good.
I mean, like the delivery, her
And frightening.
just her body. I don't think this is the right word, but body mechanisms. Like her.
No, I think that's good. It
Oh.
reminds me a little bit. Her body language reminds me a little bit of Red in Us.
Yeah, kind of.
And I remember in one of the interviews or something that I saw, Lupita Nyong'o said that she was in her mind she was thinking cockroach,
Oh,
with those movements.
Yeah.
And then Lizzie Kaplan's movements as Annie Wilkes kind of remind me of kind of like a cockroach.
Yeah.
It's that she doesn't move a lot, but when she does, it's very succinct.
Yeah. And it really is. If you've seen the original Misery, which the storyline certainly goes in a far different,
Sure.
it's a very different character.
Right.
But she captured, but it doesn't feel like she's trying to recreate Kathy Bates.
No.
She is her own Annie Wilkes, and they both just somehow in different worlds and different bodies and different minds, they've captured this character so well.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Yep.
And it's scary. It's intense.
Yeah, she's scary.
She is scary. I wouldn't say necessarily Castle Rock season 1 is creepy, weird,
Sure.
spooky. And I would say where I'm at, I haven't gotten that from the whole show.
Mm-hmm.
She is spooky, which is kind of like Misery, right? I mean,
Right.
there's a lot in that movie that isn't scary. She is scary.
Yeah.
Her character is unpredictable. And I mean, like, good gracious, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you've seen at least episode 1, all I got to say is ice cream scoop. Ice cream scoop. Sorry, I got too excited and it just kind of slipped out there. Ice cream scoop. That's all I got to say. So
Yeah.
it's intense. It's a great show. And it was like, you had mentioned it a while ago.
Yeah.
I kind of forgot about it. I've just been busy. And then this
It's
last
a sneaky
week.
time for it to come out,
It
you know?
is. Like, it seems ideal.
Right.
But then also, like, the way kind of I mentioned this a couple weeks ago. Like, I feel like I try to cram the classics into October. Like, like I'll watch scary movies all year. We do this all year. But like, there's a few that have to be seen in October. Like, they're just, and so it is kind of weird for it to come out now.
Yeah.
But also, it's perfect. I mean, like,
It's perfect. I just felt like it was a little, if you're gonna release in October, like kind of capitalizing off of Halloween season, I just would have expected it to start earlier in October.
yeah, that's true.
And so that's why I thought it was kind of sneaky, because it came in at like the 23rd or something like
Yeah.
that, with I think 2 episodes, and then it's been like 1 episode a week since then, or something like that. And
Yeah.
it's just, I don't know, it was sort of a weird time to pop in. But
Yeah, and
I'm fine with it.
I feel like maybe season 1 wasn't that huge. Like, I don't know, but I don't feel like I saw a lot of buildup. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm on Hulu quite a bit, and they give you kind of that like scroll bar of
Right.
like, and it really wasn't there all that long.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, I don't know. It didn't feel. It was just like all of a sudden. It's like I was actually getting on to watch a completely different show, a kind of a comedy show that's in our friend group, and supposedly there's a new season out, and I haven't seen that yet either.
You haven't even started the new season.
I'm
Letterkenny.
sorry, dude. Castle Rock.
You could have binged it one day of your fall break.
Yeah, I know.
The episodes are so short.
I
Seasons
know.
are so short.
I know.
Okay, you know what I watched last night?
What?
I watched the Halloween episode of Stranger Things.
Oh.
So episode 2, season 2,
Yeah.
and it has all of the beats of a great Halloween TV show episode.
Yeah.
It just nails it so hard. The downfall obviously is that it's tied to such a longer series where, you know, we know modern day kind of TV show creation and storytelling is very different. So like there are a lot of story hooks on both ends. It opens up with like a lot of kind of flashbacks to what's happening between season 1 and 2.
Sure.
And so like, but because I've already seen it, like it's not catching me off guard.
Right.
So like it's fine.
Yeah.
I have had this feeling about Stranger Things recently. I was Jim Hopper for Halloween.
Yep.
At the Halloween party we went to.
Damn good ones.
It reignited a little bit of Stranger Things love in me, because I feel like it was riding real high in July, and you know it's kind of tapered off.
Yeah.
Because it shows season 3's been out for a while.
Yep.
And I was just thinking that like I wish somewhere out there we could get a cut of one movie per season.
Oh. Interesting.
Because I've tried to restart that show so many times.
Yeah.
I love the show. I can't watch a whole season of it more than once.
So you're sorry, I got like a little something stuck there.
Get it out.
You're kind of requesting like the same form of like PBS Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
It's
and
not
you
a bad thought.
And you don't have to ruin what's already out there for people. I understand how binge culture works means that we can have much more fluff and bloat in our stories.
Yeah.
But I just would like to be able to just sit down and like for 2 hours. It's gonna be a longer movie as far as like horror movies are concerned. 2 full hours, and like get in my Stranger Things for the year, you know?
Yeah.
Like and so that's kind of what I used the Halloween episode for. There's just so many great moments. So there's the Ghostbuster costume moment.
Great moment.
All the boys dress up.
Yep.
They go to school and no one else is dressed up. They're like, everybody dressed up last year. I'm telling you, it's a conspiracy. Like it's a great joke.
Yep.
It works really, really well. It seems to be like they're probably last year trick-or-treating, you know? And like, I love those memories, and that whole vibe's great. They get Max to join them.
Oh yeah.
Like halfway through the night.
Yep.
And like that whole, you
Kind
know,
of forgot about that.
adding in the new girl, and like Mike's all like butthurt because Eleven's gone. Now there's a new girl in the group, so he gets all mad and like,
Yep.
and like all that stuff's so great. And then you on the flip side of that, the rest of the story that's going on, that's actually like the deeper part of the story. That's all like the fluff and kind of fun, the Stand By Me stuff.
Yeah.
And then the deeper part of the story that's happening is that's whenever all the farmer comes to Hopper at the office at the police station, and it's like somebody poisoned my pumpkins, and so like then you see Hopper like out in this pumpkin patch, and all the pumpkins are rotted, and like it's really good Halloween vibes.
Yeah. I kind of forgot about all that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It was such a great tie-in to make it feel so Halloween, that like this kind of portal or this area where the layer between real reality and the upside down is much thinner is happening directly underneath a pumpkin patch.
Yeah.
It was a nice touch. I really enjoyed it, and it's really it's a fun watch.
I might have to peek back to that.
Yeah, it's worth watching again before Halloween.
Yeah.
Yep.
I could probably make that in.
Yeah.
Also, I realized I think I said PBS. I meant BBC. Sherlock Holmes. Okay,
I was with you. I don't know if PBS has done a Sherlock Holmes. They probably have at some point.
Yeah, maybe somewhere.
Okay, let's call Peyton.
Okay, hey Peyton. Oh, he's not there yet. Here he comes.
Not yet.
I can feel it coming.
We got to connect the wires all the way to Louisiana.
Oh yeah. Boop 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 boop.
Hello.
Hey, is this Peyton?
Yes, sir.
Hey, Peyton, it is James with the Eek Channel. I am joined by my co-host, Cody. Cody, say hello.
Hey Peyton, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're doing good. I mean, you booked. So, I mean, for people who may be listening, I kind of let our guests pick and choose their dates, whatever works best for their schedule. And my friend, you booked like the Super Bowl of horror podcast dates.
Yeah. That was semi-intentional.
That's a power play, and I like it.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate
Gotta
courage.
come in with that energy.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, hey, you got to get in there and you stir things up a little bit. I like it.
Yeah. All right, Peyton. So before we get too deep into a conversation today, go ahead and tell us, your name, maybe where you're from, and what you do. Obviously, we know that you're on the Scream Speak crew, but maybe not everybody else who's listening does. So go ahead and tell them who you are, what you do, where you're from, all that good stuff.
Right. So my name's Peyton. Recently moved to Texas a couple months ago, and as y'all said, I'm part of Scream Speak. I co-host it with Luke, who was on here a couple months ago.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah, that's pretty much just me.
Perfect.
Not too much else.
Nice.
So you recently moved. What's the story there?
I had some stuff going on that, like, I don't want to get too deep into all the personal nonsense.
Oh no, that's okay. That's okay.
So, some stuff led me to move to Texas. I needed to get out of where I was living. So
I gotcha. Where's what general area are you in? You in like West Texas? Houston. Okay.
Houston.
Yeah.
Been to Houston a couple times. It's a fun city. There's a lot to do in Houston.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially like even coming from the New Orleans area. Like New Orleans is always there's a shit ton to do, but
yeah.
Houston is just different. There's a lot of different stuff going on.
There's a lot. I was there a couple times for business, and I think for Northerners we don't realize how sneaky big Houston is.
Oh,
Houston is big.
Oh, yeah.
It is a big city.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It was a little overwhelming because like New Orleans is kind of stuck in one area of the French Quarter, and that's kind of where everyone is. But I got to Houston, and everything is just everywhere.
Texas style,
it's so
man.
large.
Texas style, yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my brother-in-law is in Fort Worth, Dallas area, and the first time we went to visit there, it's just like, man, everything's just so spread out, and it's like you built this not just for cars, you built this for your trucks. Like you're like, everything needs to be truck sized all the time.
Maybe for their egos too. It's hard telling.
Oh, yeah,
I don't want to speak for every Texan. But Peyton, I mean no offense. You're a Texan now, man. Like that's how Texas works. You're there for a day, and you are a Texan.
That's
so,
true.
Good for you, man. Texas forever.
Thanks, guys.
All right. We so obviously, I'm sure you've listened at least to a couple episodes. So the first thing that we always want to start with is your horror origin stories. So maybe an early memory of of watching a scary movie, or kind of how you got introduced to all this stuff?
Oof. The first one was probably around. I was probably 5 or 6,
Wow.
and my grandparents showed me Scream without my parents' permission.
Oh,
But,
Scream!
It's pretty
Yeah,
intense.
Scream.
Oh my
That was,
gosh.
but yeah, that was the first. That was my first showing of any horror movie ever. But then after that, I was kind of stuck in like the Goonies, Jaws, and the more teen stuff,
Sure.
Monster Squad and stuff like that.
Nice.
But then when I like in my early teens, I started watching like Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, the classics, the basics,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And from there on, it's just been a constant. Like this has always been my favorite genre of movies since then.
Nice.
That's crazy, man. I'm trying to picture like a 5-year-old or 6 or however old you were, like even I would say anywhere under 10 years old for that opening sequence,
Dude.
like with the phone, with Drew Barrymore seeing the boyfriend. Like there's a lot.
Yeah,
there's a
that
lot
was-
to unpack for any age child.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was just sitting there like, whoa, this is cool. I've never seen this before. But,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a little bit part of my story. I had seen a couple other things before then, but like the big one for me was when Scream came out on tape. I was 6 years old, and I remember falling asleep I pretended to fall asleep on the couch, and then my dad popped it in because he had rented it for himself to watch, and then I'm like watching it through like half closed eyes, still kind of trying to pretend I'm asleep. But I mean, by the time you're halfway through that opening scene, like my eyes are like wide open. It's very clear that I'm not asleep. And then my dad found out. He got all mad, sent me to my room, and the whole story.
Yes. You didn't even get to see the conclusion. You're just
I think
left
I did.
with-
I think
okay.
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I like audibly made a sound for him to like look until we get to her hanging from the tree. I mean,
Okay.
there's no going back after
There's
that.
no going back. There's no going back.
Right. No.
That's awesome.
I'm not gonna lie though, Scream didn't really mess with me as bad as I thought it would.
Mm.
It was the movie that messed with me the most when I was the youngest was Gremlins.
Oh,
Like-
yes.
I saw that
Peyton.
when I was probably like 7, and then after that I was like, man, I'm gonna be helping my mom with laundry, and one of these little shits are gonna come out the washing machine and kill me.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
So we have a really good friend who like that is the reason he won't watch scary movies with us. That's what he claims.
Yep.
Is his scary. That's the scariest movie he's ever seen, and it has scarred him from ever watching any other horror movie.
He said whenever he was like a fairly young teenager, he was like babysitting some cousins or something, and like they wanted to watch it, and so he's like, yeah, whatever, and like put it on, and then like halfway through, he was so scared
Yep.
that he turned it off and made him watch something else.
Yep. That's incredible. Oh my gosh. That there's always these in all of our phone calls. There's always this little nugget of like gold.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And I'm not saying that we got to stop there, but
The
that
Gremlins
was
connection.
really good. That was really good. Okay, Peyton. So I got a question for you. This is kind of like I kind of spurred some surprise on some people earlier. So I think hopefully you were kind of prepared for this. Maybe not. I don't know. This could be off topic for you, or off script rather. But if you had one like franchise or movie, like it could be a specific movie or it could be a franchise that you wish you could wipe from the face of the genre, what would that be?
Ooh, that's tough.
I mean, I have an idea of what your answer might be, but we'll see.
Ooh, okay, so I might get some flack for this, but I hate the Friday the 13th movies.
Oh,
Those are kind of up there for me, as like one of my least favorite ever.
really?
man.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do not like those movies at all.
Is that what about it? This is the first time we've ever had this answer, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying that I hate the answer
No.
because there's a lot of. I mean, they're very open with like, hey, we were trying to make something every year and trying to
yeah.
cash grab, and we were just. It was a softcore porn director who was like, "Hey, I can do this." Like, so I don't hate the answer. This is the first time we've gotten this. This is
Right.
really good.
I think that's the reason why is that like it's almost like there was no there's no real attempt at trying to make a good movie. It's just trying to cash grab on a whole genre
Yeah.
at the peak time of the genre.
Yeah.
And it's like, so ever since we started like doing podcasts, I've been watching movies with more cynicism. And I'm sure y'all may be looking at it the same way. Like, I'm a little bit harsher.
Right.
So watching all of those movies, I'm like, man, these are just poorly written, poorly acted. There's not much going on other than the guy playing Jason being good at that.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I will say, like, just you mentioning watching all of those, it makes my insides cringe. Like, I couldn't stomach more than, I would say no more than 2 per like Halloween season, and that's maybe max. Like, it's kind of like my brain knows where they're gonna go, and so I don't need it. That's not one of the like nostalgia itches that I feel like I got to scratch. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
yeah, absolutely.
that's really interesting.
If you had to pick one to be the best of the franchise, though, which one is it?
If we're counting Freddy versus Jason, I'd probably go with that.
Okay.
That was at least the most creative and the most fun to watch.
If
we're not counting that, probably the one where I don't remember exactly what number, but the one where Tommy goes all crazy and kills Jason in the living room.
Yeah. Final chapter.
Corey Feldman Tommy.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. That's my go-to. Whenever a Friday the 13th falls, I really like to double feature Part 3D because it's one of the worst, and then follow it up with Part 4, Final Chapter. It's actually a halfway decent movie. I mean, it's still not creative, because I feel like with that one, they're still doing the same thing of just stealing from Halloween, but then also they're also kind of stealing from like the Goonies, like with Corey Feldman and like the power of the child, and like even him like making the masks. Like, he seems, you could almost say that it's the same character carried over from the Goonies if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's crazy. I really appreciate that answer. It's one of those franchises, like, you got to put it up there with the class. Like, a lot of people have some really deep roots in, like,
but I think
the big
everyone
three,
can always admit that it is the even lower budget B movie redneck cousin of Halloween. I think even people who love it know that. You have to know that. Like,
and I feel like, to the outsider, for someone who hates horror movies, it looks exactly the same. And then once you, but once you're like in the right, there's some scary thing killing a lot of people, and there's a lot of teenagers running around,
he's
and they're
real big. He walks real slow.
Yeah, but like, if you are if you are not even necessarily a fan, like, you happen to have watched these classics. Like, you don't have to be a horror movie junkie. You don't have to be a fanatic, but just someone who has watched these movies. You know that it's completely different. It feels like the purpose. It feels like the intentionality. Like, everything about it is just very different. It is what I would call the Juice Mart cousin to the genre.
The cousin that shows up to the family picnic. And he's got the little like grape juice stains on the side,
corner of the
mouth.
Somehow they've been missing their 2 front teeth for like the last 3 family reunions. Like, when are those things going to grow in? Oh my God. Yep, absolutely.
That's Friday the 13th. It really is. And I just feel like the people who really love it have to know that, right? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You're just accepting of it. Okay, I'm gonna flip it. So what's something that you think is actually maybe really good and just needs a little bit more light shed on it? I mean, obviously you've been doing podcasts about horror movies for a while now, and like, you kind of get the same feels that we do from like talking to people online and stuff like that. Like, what's something that's just people don't talk about it enough?
Honestly, I don't think a lot of people consider Alien as much of a horror movie franchise as it should be.
I agree.
Yeah.
But like, that's my favorite horror movie franchise, but it's hard to call it that when the second is a war movie and the fourth is just a catastrophe. But Alien and Alien 3 are actual legitimate horror movies, and Alien is by far my favorite.
Yeah.
But I also don't think Shaun of the Dead gets as much credit as it should be as a standalone horror movie, even though it is more of a comedy.
Yeah,
but
it was It was something really magical though, and like I think I seen like an interview or something recently, and like it's just so crazy how that movie was kind of being made the same time as 28 Days Later, and
Yeah.
they were both zombie flicks. They were both in London, and it was just like they both kind of came out around the same time, using the zombie vehicle to do very different things,
Yeah, very different.
yet still
Yeah.
completely revitalizing the genre.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
That's
But
interesting.
I mean, it's all just writing and directing in that movie that are just off the walls. And Edgar Wright's always been my favorite director for a long time.
I
So,
love them. So
but,
good.
so I'm slightly biased.
That's cool though. I mean, like, because a lot of times those kind of comedy ones kind of get missed. And I'm certainly not putting like Tucker and Dale versus Evil
Sure.
like there, but it's still fun. I mean,
Yeah.
it still kind of belongs in that round on that field somewhere.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
and I mean, like, yeah, those movies like that little subsect of the genre, it does get missed a lot because it's like I just saw a commercial tonight about, and it's kind of the shtick of like Dale and Tucker, where like the kids are like, oh, let's go hide by the chainsaw. I think it's a Geico commercial or something.
Yeah.
And
that movie's so old, and they still play it that commercial's so old they play it every Halloween.
yeah, but it's like, but you just kind of forget about. I mean, you're right. I mean, Shaun of the Dead, like it's not even on my radar. You said that, I was like, oh my gosh,
Yep.
I missed it. I have forgotten about that movie. It's interesting.
Yeah. Like I put it on my list of movies to watch this month. Like I watch a movie every day, like a horror movie every day. And I put it on my list, and I was looking at my list. I was like, this isn't really even a horror movie, but I'm keeping it because I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, is there a zombie getting its brains beat in? Like, yeah, it belongs on the list. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, and I think what they did with that movie that was so kind of fun and interesting is obviously they're funny, so like the comedic timing in it is great. But on top of that, like especially Dawn of the Dead, maybe not so much Day and Night, but especially Dawn is a funny movie.
Yeah.
But like they never allow it to be a comedy. But like I just always remember that scene where like they play that song. It's called like the Gonzo or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like dun 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 dun, the one they use for the outro of Robot Chicken.
Yeah.
And they're playing that, and they're just showing B-roll of zombies like falling down the escalator and like just like walking into walls, and like it's freaking hilarious. But like Dawn of the Dead's never a comedy, and so it's like these guys are just like, oh no, this movie's fucking funny. Let's just let the whole thing be funny.
Yep. Let's go for it. Absolutely. That's awesome.
All right. So you've been watching plenty of horror movies. I mean, you got introduced to horror at 6 years old, so you've seen a lot of stuff. What would you say is maybe the scariest, or if you don't really have a good answer for scariest, just the most intense horror movie you've ever seen? And it may not be because the movie itself was scary, but maybe just like the story of your experience watching it was really, really tense, scary, something like that.
Ooh. And if I'm going off straight intensity, probably You're Next.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Because that movie is
That's
that's just an hour and a half like train wreck of a movie,
Yeah.
but in a good way.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Straight horror would probably be The Strangers. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are both great answers.
For very similar reasons.
Yeah.
One, I mean, it's like it's a very similar vibe, but they both kind of go in like one pulls the intensity and one pulls the just straight absolute mind like melt. I don't know. Yeah, that's
what I love so much about Your Next is, I mean, obviously there's kind of the little twist at the end of she like grew up on a survivalist compound or whatever, but like that's just an excuse to explain why she's so badass. I just love like it starts off so slowly of her like doing something to survive, and like, oh no, she's just really smart. She really has her head on her shoulders.
Yeah.
This chick knows what's going on. And then like the movie progresses and it gets just a little bit more brutal and a little bit more brutal, a little bit crazier. And then by the time you get to the kitchen
Yes.
where she is shoving that blender on that dude's head,
Yes.
you are like, you're screaming at the screen. You're like, yeah,
Get
fucking,
him!
fucking get him,
Get him! Blender's brains. Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, and when we watched those, we watched like all of Ty West's movies. Like we watched like 3 or 4 in a row, and that was like, well, I really liked all of them, but that one was the one that like it just, oh man, it kind of shook us all because it went in a couple different directions. One that was almost like, you know, I mean, definitely horror. I mean, we got blenders on heads, but then we also we kind of got like Die Hard feel, you know, like we gotta survive, and then we got like people getting decapitated at the door. Like, I mean, I mean, there's so much. There's so much in that.
That razor wire, or whatever that was. That was really intense.
It was like there's so much in that movie.
Yeah.
And as soon as you start figuring out that like somebody inside is on it, like you can't. I mean, it's
right.
I mean, they kind of do a good job of like not pulling that along too far before they really kind of get that, you know, traction under them as well. Like, oh gosh, that's a great answer.
Yeah. It's a good answer. It's a really good answer. All right. We're going to go ahead and let you have a little bit of time. We are wrapping up here a little bit. So, man, just let people know kind of what you got going on. I think, if I remember right, you've done a couple different podcasts. Do you have anything else going on right now other than Scream Speak?
Not too much right now. I'm working on a scripted podcast for myself right now.
Oh, very cool.
Cool.
But that's going to be a little different and going the comedic route on that one. Hopefully, I'm funny enough to get that going, but I'm going to find out.
Nice. That sounds awesome.
And then just music and stuff like that. Nothing I'm really putting out there yet. But
okay, that's right. I forgot. You play. What do you play?
Play the guitar mostly, and since moving, I haven't really joined a band or anything, but I've been working on solo music.
Okay.
So
cool, dude.
Working on that.
Yeah. You're sitting with a couple guitar players, so this is
yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
What do you play? I know we are off topic now, but sorry.
Okay, anyone who doesn't want to hear about like music, you can
skip
you can
like
stop
30
now.
or just skip like 30-45 seconds. Like just
musicians are going to talk about gear for a second.
I just got to nerd out for a second. What do you play?
Like gear wise?
Yeah.
What do I play?
Yeah. Guitar guitar wise.
I've been on the Fender kick for the last couple of years.
Okay.
So I have a couple Telecasters and a Jazzmaster and a couple Strats.
Nice.
And then I have a orange 4x12 cab and a Mesa dual rectifier that I run it all through. So that's usually what I'm running with.
Yeah, this guy's you're a little bit more from my world than you are Cody's world.
Yeah, I'm a humbuckers LP kind of guy, but hey, I can appreciate what especially the telly, like like everybody has their flavor and what you're doing in those and what you're running through.
Jazzmaster.
Absolutely, man. Like that's good for you, man. Good luck in Texas. I mean, like I feel like you'll definitely tap into.
You'll find something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
So.
All right, man. So other than that, how's Scream Speak going? I know that you guys had some time off with things getting a little busy. I'm sure part of that was your move, but you've had a couple great episodes released since then. So you guys gonna kind of keep the ball rolling as much as you can?
Yeah, we're trying to. We're probably going to be looking at recording either tonight or tomorrow.
Nice.
But we kind of molded into the we don't really record unless we have something we're actually excited to talk about.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So our episode spacing has been really weird.
Yeah.
With that, but plus it's still a timing thing, especially being 300 miles away from Luke.
Yeah,
it gets a little more weird.
Yeah.
Going from literally a 20-foot walk across my house to 300 miles away, it makes it a little more difficult. But we've got it smoothed out pretty well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been really good talking to you, and man, I just need to tell you, I did the same thing for Luke, but just for you too. Thank you so much. Whenever I kind of first got this ball rolling. You guys were super encouraging for me just on Instagram and like hooking up with you guys, and it was really helpful for someone who was just getting started and had 0 listeners and 0 Instagram followers and really no idea what the fuck I was doing. Somebody was like, "Hey, good, you're doing a thing," and like just recognizing people trying to make stuff. I really appreciated it. It was super important for me when it happened, and so I always try to do that for other people too. But just wanted to thank you so much. I really appreciate it, man.
Anytime, man. That's one of the things I love about the horror community is how supportive it is.
Yeah.
And me and Luke have always tried to be as much of a part of that as we can, even though we are like a small podcast of 2 people, 3 people sometimes, and like we don't have many followers or anything either, but we try to be as supportive as we can to the people we do like. Yeah, man. It was awesome. It's always great talking to you. Really glad we could get you on the show and on the best night ever. 28th, just a couple days out from Halloween.
Come on.
We're watching Halloween 3 tonight. You watching something spooky tonight?
I have to check. I'm probably. I'm watching Trick or Treat tonight.
Yes, I love Trick or Treat.
Yeah, I know. That was my. I wasn't sure if we were gonna review Halloween 3: Season of the Witch or Trick or Treat for tonight, and I went with Halloween 3. Maybe we'll do Trick or Treat next year.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one.
Yep.
I love Trick or Treat.
Oh, so good. All right, man. Well, again, thanks so much for being on with us, and have a great night.
All right, you too. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
See you, Peyton.
Bye. Did you say Peyton?
Peyton. Hey, man, I was just trying to get it in there. I just wanted to say goodbye.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's a real nice guy. They're nice. No, man, that was cool. It's those kind of guys that like, you know, we say it a lot, but like we interact to different degrees, but it's like to you know, through social media, and I'm not discrediting the genuine interaction, but like to get to talk to him and like to kind of hear a little bit of his story and round him out as a person a little bit. Like it was great. It was a great conversation.
Yep. Nice dude. Him and Luke both love them. So their podcast is Scream Speak. You can find them on pretty much all your podcast apps. I think that I've seen them on pretty much everything that I use. So that is Scream Speak, spelled just the way it sounds. Nothing weird. No K's or anything weird going on in there. I guess K.
Speak. I mean, it's okay.
Well, I mean, like,
I know
K, like Mortal Kombat style K's where they put them in where you're not
right.
expecting. I'm like, not doing anything like that.
I gotcha.
There is a K at the end of the speak.
Yeah.
Fucking.
That's awesome.
All right, well, that about wraps it up for this episode.
Yes.
Don't forget, you can be a guest with us on the podcast. Actually, we are we're booked through November.
Woo!
And I guess this is the announcement. We're actually not going to have any special guests through the month of December. We're kind of going to reevaluate a little bit in December. We might even take a couple weeks off for holidays and things like that. So, but we're still trucking. We're still trucking through October. We got a whole month after. All of November's already booked. We got some great guests. We're actually kind of double booked on guests on 1 week. So
Let's go.
Actually, Mike from Merch Massacre, they're potentially not going to be kind of headquartering out of Fort Wayne.
Dang.
Too much longer.
Okay.
So he was like, "Hey, I want to make sure that I'm like there for another episode."
Yeah.
So he's going to review a movie with us in
Nice.
November. I think we've talked about this. Okay. Watership Down,
Oh, yeah.
the cartoon.
Yeah.
That's like not a well, it is a cartoon, but not a kid show.
This is a cartoon. It's not a kid's show.
Yeah. So he texts me and he's like, "Hey, can I come in on this date and can we review Watership Down?" I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, we can.
Let's make it happen.
Perfect. Let's
Absolutely.
do it. I love it. So yeah, if you want to be a guest on the show, all you have to do is really reach out to us on Instagram at Eek Channel. That is EEKCHANNNEL. If you want to help out the show, just like, subscribe, enable your notifications. You can comment. You can just follow us on Instagram. You just do all those internet things that people do now. The things that just like run our lives. Do some of those things. Really appreciate it. Or don't do any of it. Tell a friend that you think it's a somewhat interesting podcast and maybe they should check it out.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you want, you can just tell them it's the best podcast in the world. Like, that's fine. But
Yep.
maybe don't get their expectations too high because It might not be that good, but it's good enough.
I appreciate low expectations. I've said that before.
So yeah, just tell a friend, and we appreciate everyone that listens. We appreciate all of our guests that we have, and just thank you so much for listening.
This has been a production of Geek Channel. We make spooky stuff for people like you. You can discover more content like this at geekchannel.com or find us on Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all the places. And don't be shy, we like making new friends. Thank you for tuning in and stay geeky out there.